Off on the game you just heard. Now to break it all down, here's your host, Justin Garcia.
2 straight wins for the Bucks, who take care of the shorthanded Golden State Warriors tonight at Fiserv Forum. And the story of this game, the play of the big three for the Bucks in Giannis, Damian Lillard, and Chris Middleton. Giannis with another 30-point game tonight, 33 points, 9 rebounds, and 5 assists, 13 of 22 from the field, and 6 of 8 at the free throw line. Dame had 27 points. Did not score in the fourth quarter, though. He kind of set the tone early for the Bucks, and Chris Middleton took the mantle from there. He finished with 14 points and 10 assists for the double-double. 13 points and 5 assists of those numbers came in the fourth quarter. Again, Damian Lillard was the guy that got things going offensively at the start. Chris Middleton closed it out in the fourth quarter with his play. And this another game where it was a tale of two halves for the Bucks. Much, much better, much more crisp in that second half, especially on the defensive end. 46 points in the fourth quarter, nearly 30 in the third quarter, but they held the Warriors to just 25 in that third quarter. Both teams brought the offense in the fourth quarter, but still a much different-looking Bucks team in the second half of this game. And as I mentioned, that's kind of been a theme for this Bucks team, is any issues that we do see, for the most part, we do see a different-looking team in the second half. And that is a credit to Adrian Griffin and adjustments that are made for this team to bounce back the way that they do. They did that tonight. And look, this is another game where the Bucks were facing an opponent that was not rested. Night 2 of a back-to-back. We've seen that happen much more frequently the past couple of weeks, it seems like. Tomorrow the Bucks will have a chance to experience that with the Sacramento Kings coming to town. But as we mentioned, you don't apologize for wins. You don't apologize for beating who's on your schedule and how those wins look. The important part is getting those wins. Because as this team moves closer and closer to really ironing out that chemistry and looking every bit the team that we expect them to be. Not there yet, but you continue to see some of those subtle signs of growth, even if it does come at the expense of a couple of steps backward now and then. The important part is to win. When this schedule is the way that it is right now, it is not the most challenging of schedules. It is not going to really kick up a notch until you get into very late in the season, late February and March. So it's imperative to get those wins now so you don't reach the point when you're playing your most difficult schedule that you are in absolute must-win mode and have ground to make up. That's the important part for the Bucks, and that's where they have been executing so far this season. 855-616-1620, the number to join us tonight on Bucks Talk as the Bucks knock off the Golden State Warriors tonight and get ready for the Sacramento Kings. A lot to get into from this one. We mentioned the play of Giannis, of Damian Lillard, Chris Middleton again with a very big game. But some of the takeaways that we saw, and I mentioned Chris Middleton, the way that he played in the fourth quarter. We've mentioned this role for Chris Middleton for really a couple of weeks now. And there's one other thing that goes with that in the way that the Bucks have used Chris. The rotations we've seen and how those have changed in the last couple of games. We'll get to that and highlight the play of the rookie Andre Jackson Jr., who continues to make it very difficult to leave him off the floor or take minutes away from him. We'll get to that and your thoughts after this on Bucks Talk.
This is Bucks Talk.
It's time to make the call. It's time to get that lasting relief you deserve from that awful joint pain in 2024. Hey, it's WTMJ's Greg Matzik for QC Kinetics. Hey, don't go another year compromising because of that awful pain in your knees or your shoulder. Give a call to QC Kinetics, the nation's leader in regenerative, non-surgical pain relief. Now, the best part is your body has what it needs to restore and repair that damaged joint tissue. That means no drugs, no surgery, and no downtime. QC Kinetics can make it happen. Hundreds of board-certified QC Kinetics providers have treated tens of thousands of satisfied patients all over America. People with back pain, with hip pain, any pain associated with arthritis or an injury. And it's not a Band-Aid fix. This is revolutionary. It's treatment that can get you moving again and get your life back. Take the first step now. Give a call to QC Kinetics. A free consultation awaits. 414-285-3474. That's 414-285-3474.
America is kept safe because the Army National Guard responds, protects, and supports our nation when it needs them most. The Army National Guard responds to disasters such as wildfires and floods. They protect us with missile defense, cybersecurity, and civilian support teams for chemical, biological, and radiological hazards. Be there for your community and your country. Visit NationalGuard.com to learn more about part-time service. Sponsored by the Wisconsin Army National Guard. Aired by the Wisconsin Broadcasters Association and this station.
3.5 to 3.9% real estate commission. You can't find a lower rate of commission, and you won't be able to find better knowledge, service, and real estate expertise than you'll find with our agents at Benefit Realty. Because I know that's what you expect. Now, I'm not sure you'll be able to find the highest caliber of agents everywhere, but I can promise that's what you'll get here. So choose Benefit Realty to exceed your expectations, and you'll pay less for more. This is Angela Calais with Benefit Realty, where you pay less for full service. Benefit-realty.com. Whether you're an active or passively active home shopper, our agents want you to be completely up to date with what's out there and what's brand new to the market. With our instant emailed MLS updates, you'll never miss out on what could be the home of your dreams. All you have to do is call and tell us where to search, give us a price range, and soon you'll be totally in tune with your desired real estate market. Remember, MLS searches show you everything. Some of the other real estate sites don't. So call Benefit Realty today, where you'll pay less for full service. Benefit-realty.com.
Welcome back to Bucks Talk.
Our final here at Fiserv Forum. Bucks take down the Warriors. And look, this is a Warriors team that if you caught the injury reports early this morning, you saw no Steph Curry, who was being held out for rest. And before the game, when we hear from the opposing coach, Steve Kerr was asked about Steph and his status for tonight, obviously not playing, saying he's just wiped out, and he's been healthy all year. We've been relying on him heavily in a lot of these games. He's worn out. He needs tonight off, but he will play in the next game. So unfortunate timing for Bucks fans, as we saw quite a few 30 Golden State jerseys in this arena, and Steph Curry fans that come out to see him. No Steph Curry tonight for the Warriors. They're still without Draymond Green, who we thought there was a chance may be on the floor tonight. His suspension was lifted last Saturday, and said he would need about a week to get through a ramp-up and ready to make his return to the floor. Chris Paul remains out for about 2 months as well, as he's dealing through a fracture on his hand. Moses Moody was out tonight with a calf strain. Gary Payton II has been out for quite some time with a hamstring strain. So long story short, it was a banged-up, shorthanded Golden State Warriors team. But we have seen those types of teams give the Bucks issues. And Adrian Griffin talked about this before the game as well. You can't just, and this isn't the first time we've heard Griff mention this, but you can't just look at who is not on the floor and say this will be easy. Doesn't change our approach defensively. As Griff said, we had great urgency and competitive spirit and effort against the Celtics. That shouldn't change. No matter who it is you're playing, no matter who is or isn't playing, you should continue to play that way, and that's what we're looking for. They have guys capable of having breakout games at any time. We got to know who their guys are, what they can do, because this happens regularly at the NBA level. There is always a young guy looking to make a statement when a star goes down. That's part about finding your identity, is getting that consistency every game, no matter who you play or play against. We have to maintain that type of intensity, and you need that to get a win. That's what we heard before the game. That's what we saw in the second half from this team. And that's been a trend that we have seen, where this team has been kind of a tale of two halves. I think the encouraging part of tonight was it certainly was a much different Bucks team in the second half, but this was not one of those occasions where you're going into the half down double figures and say we drastically need to be better. You knew what to circle. You knew what needed to be improved in that second half. The Bucks defense, giving up again that point of attack, allowing those drives and blow-bys. The Warriors had 26 points in the paint in the first half. 36, I beg your pardon, points in the paint in the first half. And of those 18 field goals, 15 of those were at the rim. So in other words, they were dunks or layups. A majority of those points in the paint. That was cleaned up in the second half of this game as the Warriors finished with just 26 points in the paint in that second half. And most importantly for the Bucks, doing a much better job of cracking down on where it was in the paint that the Warriors were scoring. In other words, some of these were closer to the free throw line and those mid-range jumpers versus just getting to the rim. They did have 9 field goals at the rim, but a very, very different figure from that 15 number that the Warriors had in the first half. 855-616-1620, the number to join us tonight on Bucks Talk. Let's head to the phone lines and talk with Will I Am. You kick things off tonight.
Hey, Justin, how we doing? Hey, man, another just interesting game to watch and exciting win, Obviously, like you just stated, it's a team game, and tonight we really showed the team aspect. Love seeing big minutes from, obviously, Ajax from the bench. Obviously, I love seeing everyone get involved early. Again, one of those games where, like you just said, the accessibility to get to the lane and the accessibility to get those jumpers and those little, off-foot runners kind of really deterred me and the Bucks, obviously, from getting that massive lead. And obviously, we look great with the ball movement. Obviously, I thought it was freak time. Dame and Giannis getting ready to rumble. But we just need to adapt on, I think, small things. Like you said, every game is a new level to prove. And I think we're here to prove that we can actually play some defense. We saw it for stretches where they were really, intensity-wise, super aggressive on the ball. And then there'd be stretches where, you watch everyone just watch the ball go down the lane, like it's an express freight train. It's no balance. But I'm hoping we can get to that balance level, which leads me to the next point. I'm really excited and hoping that Jay Crowder can get back, because even a third of development of that, Justin, will get an even better outcome.
Yeah, and Jay Crowder, we heard again from Griff before the game. He's very close. I think the number was 3 of 5-on-5s that they had scheduled for him to go through as kind of your final ramp up. I know one of those was earlier today, Griff was mentioning. I think that may have been the third. It was at least the second. So he did not give us a date or a game of when Jay Crowder will be back. But as he's continued to say for about a week now, he's very, very close. Taking it day by day, we have a target number for contact. But we're still being very cautious with it because I think, number one, you don't want to overstate the value of Jay Crowder, but the importance that Jay Crowder is going to bring, especially defensively, and how we use the word unlock too much at times, but Jay Crowder can unlock some of that in allowing this team to play differently as we continue to see it throughout the course of this game tonight with the different lineup combinations that we saw from Adrian Griffin. But getting Jay Crowder back, and especially with this spark that Andre Jackson Jr. is giving you, it does give you the option to have more types of lineups and a defensive lineup where you could have Jay Crowder playing your 4 alongside Giannis and Andre Jackson Jr. out there. It's easy to imagine Chris Middleton and Damian Lillard on the floor with that trio as well. That gives you a lot of switchability, and you still have your best 3 offensive players on the floor at the same time as well. So his importance defensively is big for this team, and I think that's why they're going to be very, very cautious and continue to take their time and bring him along slowly. But as Griff said, it's close. And he did say, I can't say exactly what game it is that he will be back, but he has been doing a superb job of getting himself ready, and it will be in the next couple games. Does that mean tomorrow? Who knows? Because we did finally see Chris Middleton play in both sets of a back-to-back. TBD, and if that is what we see here tomorrow night. And same for Giannis, who's only missed 1 game so far this season. So it could be tomorrow. It could be Wednesday in Detroit. But this is an interesting part of the schedule as well is, the initial question of, I wonder if we'll see Chris Middleton play in both of these games. Does anybody get some rest tomorrow with it being night 2 of a back-to-back? We haven't really seen that from the Bucks so far this season. And the way this schedule sets up for this upcoming week, You do have the back-to-back tonight, tomorrow, but after that you have 2 days off. Then you're in Detroit against the Pistons, in Cleveland against the Cavs. Then you have 2 days off again, and you go to Detroit for a 2-game set with the Pistons Saturday afternoon and Monday evening. So you did have this stretch of games for the Bucks here this week, all jumbled up. But next week you do have quite a bit of rest, opening up with 2 separate stretches of 2 days off in between games. 855-616-1620, the number to join us tonight on Bucks Talk as the Bucks get past the Golden State Warriors. Still want to take a look at the impact of Andre Jackson Jr. as he continues to be a defensive playmaker for this Bucks team and give them that energy that at times they have sorely lacked. It is hard not to bring that same amount of energy when you're sharing the floor with Andre Jackson Jr. We'll take a look at that and the impact of the minutes that Andre Jackson Jr. has been getting recently. That has to come from somewhere, and it seems to be coming from 2 places. We'll get into that discussion next on Bucks Talk.
You're listening to Bucks Talk.
Meet Alan, who was diagnosed with sleep apnea.
I was what they called a mouth breather, and I would breathe at night with my mouth open.
And for about 8 years, Alan struggled with a CPAP machine. And then
I saw the Advent commercial, and I thought, well, what do you got to lose? This machine is miserable.
For most people, CPAP machines are miserable, but a simple breathing triangle solution from Advent can be life-changing.
And it really was, to me, it was amazing because I don't think I ever breathed that clear.
This is Dr. Madan Kandula. After having one of Advent's simple breathing triangle procedures, people are amazed at how freely and clearly they can breathe.
I'm happy with the procedure. I'm very glad I did it. I wish I would have done it 20 years ago. I could have avoided that machine I had to have laying next to the bed with the hose wrapped around my head.
Schedule your appointment at AdventKnows.com because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better. Results may vary.
Hey, John Mercure here. I'm going on an incredible trip to southern Italy and Sicily. My wife and I would love for you to come with us. October 2024, what an itinerary. A full week in breathtaking Sicily, the stunning seaside towns with their cobblestone piazzas, UNESCO World Heritage Sites, the breathtaking Amalfi Coast and Sorrento, taking the deep blue hues of the Mediterranean, sailing to Positano, plus visit historic Pompeii. Won't you come with us? Let me send you information on this great trip. It's john.mercure at WTMJ.com, john.mercure at WTMJ.com. Lots of food, great wine, time for shopping. It's Incredible Italy next fall. I'll send you one of our beautiful brochures if you send me an email. john.mercure at WTMJ.com. We'll also be adding on Rome. I love Rome. Come with us, won't you? October 2024, Incredible Italy. Breathtaking and stunning. John.Mercure, MERCURE at WTMJ.com.
Doesn't it seem like you never have anything to wear? That's why I shop St. Vincent de Paul thrift stores. Whether it's a designer top, jeans, an adorable skirt, or cute accessories, I always seem to find something I like. And at prices I love. Gently used women's clothing and accessories for far less than you thought possible. At St. Vincent de Paul thrift stores on Highway 100 in Layton and Greenfield and 23rd in Lincoln in Milwaukee.
You're gonna love it, St. Vincent de Paul.
The Roundball Repartee returns. This is Bucks Talk.
$129-118, our final here inside of Fiserv Forum. Bucks get the win. 2 straight wins now for the Bucks, and I mentioned this as well. They're keeping the pace with the Boston Celtics, who are now 30-9 on the season. A nice win that the Bucks had against the Celtics. Look, it was night 2 of a back-to-back for Boston. It was the 5th game in 7 days. We get all that. The Bucks went through the same thing a season ago and lost by 41 to the Boston Celtics. So these things happen. But that was a win the Bucks sorely needed, not only to curb what was a losing streak and an ugly trend of basketball we saw in the first week of January, but you just have to get these wins, and especially against the Boston Celtics. You just have to get wins against Boston with the way that the Bucks have really struggled to find success against that team, especially in the regular season for the last 2 or so years now. So that was an important part of it as well. And keeping some of that separation on Philadelphia as they were playing for an extended period of time without Joel Embiid, and the Bucks still a game up in the loss column, 2 games up overall on Philly. And you've seen in the games that Philly has now played without Joel Embiid, they've slid closer to the rest of that really 4 through 8 or 9 group in the Eastern Conference. Just 2 games up in the loss column on the Indiana Pacers and Cleveland Cavaliers, and a game and a half overall separating the third-seeded Sixers and the fourth-seeded Indiana Pacers now. So I'm going to keep saying it. The important part for the Bucks, it doesn't matter the optics. Just win these games when this schedule is as it is. It is not overly challenging. The Celtics, clearly a difficult opponent. Tomorrow's opponent is going to be difficult as well in the Sacramento Kings, who have the 5th best record in the Western Conference. Tonight you wondered about the Golden State Warriors, who are coming in really kind of like a wounded team. You didn't know about Steph Curry until today, but that always presents a danger. The Golden State Warriors do in their offensive ability, but just getting wins before that schedule really kicks into overdrive and becomes incredibly difficult in the tail end of the season. It's important to win now so you're not digging yourself into a hole having to win and facing these must-win games when you would assume all of these other issues and the chemistry and everything we've touched on, the hope and the assumption is that's all going to be in place once you get into that stretch drive of the season. And that's when your schedule is its most challenging. So I think for the Bucks, this is the best possible way for that schedule to have been set up, knowing there's a lot of change and a lot of adjustment, and it's going to take time. As much as people don't want to keep hearing that, as much as we have said it, probably said it too much, but it's true. It's going to take time. Knowing that, I think the way the schedule broke for the Bucks, probably the best possible scenario to have some time to figure this out while you're not playing the most difficult stretch of your schedule, and just win those games. It would be an entirely different conversation if this Bucks team was, closer to 500 or just above it, like where you're seeing the New York Knicks. If you're 22-17, 23-16, it's a much different conversation than where the Bucks currently sit at 27-12 now on the season. 3 games back of the Boston Celtics. 855-616-1620. The number to join us tonight on Bucks Talk. I mentioned Chris Middleton, and the boost that he gave the Bucks in the fourth quarter, specifically double-digit points, 13 points, 5 assists in the fourth quarter. He came out on fire to start that quarter, and I've mentioned this a couple of times. The impact that Chris Middleton has brought this team this season has been most pronounced in the second and fourth quarters, because those are typically the stretches of the game where Chris is on the floor, Giannis and Damian Lillard are not. That you will see Dame play the duration of the first quarter and the third quarter. You'll see Giannis close the first quarter and play most of that quarter, and similar to the third quarter. So they're getting rest the first couple of minutes, in Dame's case, the first 6 or so minutes of those second and fourth quarters. So that's an extended stretch of not having either of those two players on the floor. And that's where Chris Middleton has really helped them bridge the gap and has brought his biggest impact throughout the course of this season, in those spots where he is effectively running the offense and your go-to scorer. He had a 4-point play attempt, missed the free throw, but that came in the fourth quarter on that torrid stretch that he started with. A couple of early baskets in the fourth as well. But it's been his playmaking. And I know Chris will be maligned at times and criticized for turnovers. But he has that connection with Giannis, with Brook Lopez. He has that ability to read the floor. 10 assists tonight. I'm not denying there are turnovers, and we saw one of them tonight. We almost saw a second if it weren't for Adrian Griffin stepping in to call a timeout. You have seen that. But you see more of the 10 assists, and you see more of Chris with that chemistry with Giannis, setting him up and putting him in the right spots. The lobs to Giannis. The sideline out-of-bounds plays where Giannis will roll to the basket and Chris is the one feeding him. You see more of that than you do see the bad. And I think what's notable is that has been a role that we have seen expand more and more for Chris Middleton, to basically run the offense in those spots. You have to wonder what that means for a player like Cameron Payne, who, look, we don't know how much of this is the play of Chris Middleton basically taking on that role as your secondary point guard and your backup point guard. And how much of that has to do with the minutes that we've seen continue to go to Andre Jackson Jr. for his impact. But we did not see Cameron Payne tonight. And we didn't see Cam Payne against the Boston Celtics until the second half, when the Celtics had pulled their starters. And the Bucks went to an all-bench unit at about the midpoint of the third quarter. We also didn't see Marjan Beauchamp tonight. And that's the difficult thing about a team that's getting healthier. Right now, just missing Jay Crowder, but looking for minutes and getting these contributions from a guy like Andre Jackson. We even saw Chris Livingston tonight. But for as much as we want to continue to find those minutes for Andre Jackson Jr., and I think at this point he has rightfully earned them, they have to come from somewhere. I think to a lesser extent that's been Malik Beasley at times, and Ajax and Malik basically played the same amount of minutes tonight. In the fourth quarter, you saw them trading off for each other, basically making offense and defense switches. But it also seems to be coming from Cameron Payne, with Chris Middleton taking on that role of this can be the guy that runs our offense with that second unit. And in the case of Marjan Beauchamp, who we've seen this for a little bit of an extended period now, it seems as though Andre Jackson Jr. has moved past him. And this minutes crunch and trying to find where are these minutes going to come from, it is going to mean less minutes, potentially for Andre Jackson Jr., potentially for Malik Beasley, maybe even for Bobby Portis or Pat Connaughton. But somebody is going to feel the brunt of it in the next couple of days when Jay Crowder makes his return. I would assume it's going to be more of a ramp-up for Jay Crowder, where you're not going to immediately drop him out there playing 30 or so minutes. But the minutes are going to have to come from somewhere, and that is the tough part, is you got to stay hot. You got to stay ready to be ready when you're called upon. And we have definitely seen that from Andre Jackson Jr., and that is now the spot that players like a Marjan Beauchamp, even A.J. Green, who we did see some of against the Celtics, but his numbers, or his minutes, I should say, and his opportunities have dwindled as well, given the play of Andre Jackson Jr. and Cameron Payne. All of these guys in that spot right now that Griff has talked about of, look, this is where I was at a player as well. I had some years where I was a starter and played some heavy minutes, but for the most part, I was a role player and coming off the bench. And you just have to remain ready because you never know when those minutes pop up, whether it's poor play, whether it's an absence due to injury, whatever it is, you got to stay ready when you're called upon. And that's the spot we're seeing a couple of these players in now. But right now, that is not the case for Andre Jackson Jr., who continues to make play after play after play, especially on the defensive end for this Bucks team. I do want to get to some of those comments that Adrian Griffin had about the rookie and the comp that he made for Andre Jackson Jr., because it raised a lot of eyebrows in the press room when he threw out this name specifically. We'll get to that conversation after this on Bucks Talk.
The Hardwood Homilies continue after this. This is Bucks Talk.
A jewelry store can be a pretty scary place. It's full of diamonds and gold, and sometimes the salespeople can make you feel like you really don't belong.
Who wants to feel like that? Buying a diamond should be one of the happiest and most exciting moments of your life, and we promise to make it that way for you. Cross my heart. No matter your age, how you're dressed, or how much money you have, you're going to have a magical experience when you come to Kessler's.
You're going to see the largest selection of diamond engagement rings in one place at one time than you've ever seen in your life.
Looking at rings is a wonderful way to spend time together. And when you find the ring you know is the one, but cash might be a little tight, we've got fantastic financing available and we'll work hard to get you approved.
We're on your side. Kessler's is always on your side. We're 8 stores strong with 6 locations in Wisconsin and 2 in Grand Rapids, Michigan. We'd be thrilled to have you stop in and see what we're all about.
It's the last resort that comes with a grueling and painful recovery. And from what I've been told, it never really feels quite natural. A total knee replacement may make the pain you're living with eventually go away, but it opens up a Pandora's box of other possible issues. And that's why surgeons who really do care will tell you that it's a last resort. There are other surgeons who cry,
"Replace! Replace!"
But the physicians you'll find at Rejuvenex are primarily concerned with relief. And you may find out that the relief we give you helps so much so that you may not need to get that total knee replacement. This is Richard Salinas, registered nurse with Rejuvenex Arthritis Clinics. Our FDA-approved pain treatments aid inflammation and lubricate your joints. And in most cases, insurance has been shown to cover the costs. At Rejuvenex, we can alleviate your pain, and that'll rejuvenate your life.
Alleviate your pain, rejuvenate your life.
Go to Rejuvenex.com to request your appointment.
Annex Wealth Management, investment, retirement, tax, and estate planning from a fee-only fiduciary. Forget commission sales pitches and financial products you don't need. Know the difference. Annex provides elite, comprehensive financial planning customized to who you are and what you need. AnnexWealth.com.
This is Bucks Talk.
Bucks beat the Warriors tonight at Fiserv Forum, and again, your big three of Giannis, Damian Lillard, and Chris Middleton all had big impacts on this game tonight, but you can't help but keep wandering back to the performance of rookie Andre Jackson Jr., his first career double-double, 10 points, 10 rebounds, 2 assists, a block. 6 of those rebounds came on the offensive glass. And the number that was most impressive, and I'm only half joking when I say this, for Andre Jackson Jr. tonight was the number 1 in terms of his fouls in this game, because that had been the issue for Andre Jackson Jr. He had picked up a lot of fouls in his playing time, and that's not uncommon for young players, but I think Adrian Griffin even spoke to this a couple of times this season. The encouraging part, you do recognize there are going to be fouls that young players pick up, but you also want to monitor what are the fouls. Are they things that we think we can clean up? Are they fouls that are occurring that are frankly bad fouls, whether it's the context of where they're coming on the shot clock or where they are on the floor, if it's something on the other end of the floor and more of a frustration foul? Are those things we need to coach the player through? But for Andre Jackson Jr., I think what has stood out most is a lot of times you'll see young players get into foul trouble when they're kind of caught halfway and being a little too tentative. That has not been the issue for Andre Jackson Jr. He has been ultra aggressive, and at times I think you could say he's been over-aggressive, overly aggressive. But that is so often an issue that young players run into, in that you don't understand the physicality of the game and the level of it that you need to bring on the defensive end. And that is clearly not the case for Andre Jackson Jr. But before the game, Adrian Griffin, as it seems like now every single game, the name of Andre Jackson Jr. comes up, whether it's a local reporter for the Bucks opponent, whether it's somebody here in Milwaukee that has a question specific to the game plan or Andre Jackson Jr.'s progress. It seems like every single game, something about Andre Jackson Jr. comes up to Adrian Griffin, and he is asked about him. And before the game tonight was one of those games where he was asked about the progress he has seen from this rookie so far. And this was the line that I think struck every single one of us that was sitting in that Jim Paschke media interview room hearing Griff talk. He kind of reminds me of Christian Brown a little bit in how he was able to contribute during the playoffs for the Denver Nuggets. That was critical in their success, and I kind of see Dre like that. We have our offensive playmakers, but it's good to have defensive ones as well. You need those, and that's what Dre really brings us. Those defensive plays really get us points on the offensive end, and that is very critical for us to find ways to score off your defense. He brings that. He is a defensive playmaker, and we need that on this team. He did a tremendous job his first couple of cracks against Jason Tatum in that game on Thursday. I thought he held his own. Being a rookie and having that type of discipline, that says a lot. You can get a foul or two, but they weren't careless fouls that he picked up. He has a competitive spirit. He did not back down from those matchups and has not throughout the course of this season. He takes on those challenges. He just makes us more athletic when he's on the floor. That last part especially, it is impossible to dispute that. I think that's what we saw in that third quarter, when it seemed like Andre Jackson Jr. was making plays defensively. He is the guy attempting chase down blocks. You would see Giannis do the same. Andre Jackson Jr. is doing the same. But most importantly, when the Bucks were keeping possessions alive, I mentioned 6 offensive rebounds for Andre Jackson Jr. in this game. It's Andre Jackson Jr. that has a nose for the ball, that he knows those little plays, those little things, and the attention to detail. he is the one, when you see the Bucks keeping plays alive, more often than not, it has his fingerprints on it. He is the guy keeping those possessions alive, and perhaps even more importantly, he knows where his bread is buttered. When Andre Jackson Jr. is starting to break, when he's getting one of those offensive rebounds, he is immediately looking to get the ball into the hands of Giannis and or Damian Lillard. He makes these winning plays, and he continues to make those types of plays, as Adrian Griffin said, a defensive playmaker. But that comp to Christian Braun is, I think, what caught most of us. Because I mentioned it a few times, there's certainly some elements that you would see and you would make the comp to Malcolm Brogdon. And again, this has nothing to do with his play style. It's more of second-round pick, had a lengthy career in college, played through some big moments in college, and Malcolm Brogdon, a first-team All-ACC, Defensive Player of the Year in the ACC as well. You could see that knack for making winning plays and that experience that he brought from the collegiate level of being through some of those big moments, being older as a 22-year-old as Andre Jackson Jr., a same door that Malcolm Brogdon walked through, that you can start to see those things and think, well, this is kind of reminding me of that, where you knew, I'm not saying he's a starter. I'm not saying he's going to be playing heavy minutes in the playoffs, but what we've seen now at about halfway through the season, I think it is safe to say you have seen enough to know Andre Jackson Jr. is a rotation guy. He is a contributor to this team. And for Adrian Griffin to make that comp to Christian Braun in terms of being a player that brings it defensively, that you think, as a rookie, we trust him on the defensive end of the floor to throw out there in some big minutes in the postseason, just as Christian Braun did a season ago, that certainly raised a lot of eyebrows, and you continue to see, number one, as Adrian Griffin has said, he loves Andre Jackson Jr. just for the way that he plays and a lot of the same attributes that Adrian Griffin tried to bring when he was a role player in this league. But secondly, when you see the way he's used, he has the full trust of Adrian Griffin and the rest of the coaching staff. 855-616-1620, the number to join us tonight on Bucks Talk. We'll take a closer look at this opponent tomorrow night, the final game on this 4-game homestand, the Sacramento Kings. We'll take a look at the matchup after this on Bucks Talk.
This is Bucks Talk.
Hi, this is Scott Trout of Cordell & Cordell. If you're a dad who is facing divorce, there are extra layers of stress that may include stereotypes and assumptions. No two situations are the same. Our legal experience and dedication prepare us for whatever legal challenges we face together. You need a partner you can count on. For more than 30 years, Cordell & Cordell has represented men in divorce.
Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's Milwaukee attorneys. 111 East Kilbourne Avenue, Suite 1650, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 53202.
At Progressive, we love sports and saving you money, so we bundled them together.
The final horse now in the gate, and they're off. They're starting off with a double toe loop jump, leaving a difficult 7-10 split. As there's movement on the inside rail. Only 9 pins separate them now as they head to the final quarter mile. They're neck and neck. It's down to the last frame. Here comes the axle jump. They bundled their home and auto insurance with Progressive. Win strength savings gold.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
Ring in the new year with the ultimate timeless gift, a diamond from Diamonds Direct. Whether you're ready to pop the question or celebrating a lifetime of love in 2024, Diamonds Direct can make this New Year's one to remember forever. Diamonds Direct is the area's destination for exquisite diamonds in all shapes and sizes, and our nationwide price guarantee ensures you'll get the best value, period. To showcase that spectacular diamond, we have literally thousands of designer settings from all the top names like Tacori, Verragio, Simon G, A. Jaffe, and many more. And our experts will guide you every step of the way with the education you want and the respect you deserve. Engagement rings, wedding bands, eternity bands, fashion rings. At Diamonds Direct, we specialize in the ultimate symbol of love, and we welcome the opportunity to celebrate with you. So start the new year with some new excitement, new hope, and some new bling. Diamonds Direct on Mayfair Road in front of Mayfair Mall. Proud to call Milwaukee home. Diamonds Direct. Your love, our passion.
Heart disease won't stop us. Diabetes, allergies, cancer. Nothing will keep the Freighter and the Medical College of Wisconsin Health Network from pushing Wisconsin ahead. We're constantly raising the bar for medical excellence and providing more ways to receive it, so you have it for all your health needs, big and small. Let's push ahead, and we'll make life here as great as it can be. Visit Freighter.com to find out how.
Welcome back to Bucks Talk.
Ain't no way they can stop me now, Daddy, 'cause I'm on my way.
Bucks take down the Warriors tonight and now get set for the final of this four-game homestand tomorrow night against the Sacramento Kings. And a bit of a role reversal for the Bucks, who tonight was another one of those instances. Thursday was it as well. And even last Sunday, although you lost that game to the Houston Rockets, Saturday, I beg your pardon, the Bucks, with a number of these games recently being night two of a back-to-back for the opponent. But tomorrow it is the Bucks' taste of that, with the Sacramento Kings being well-rested, having played last night in Philadelphia against the 76ers, and now they come to Milwaukee to take on the Bucks, and looking to bounce back as well, as they were manhandled by the Sixers in a loss last night. I do want to get back to, real quick, that comp of Adrian Griffin saying, it reminds me of Christian Brown and what he did, that, from day one, I think you started to hear those murmurs as well in Denver, that this is a kid that we think can play heavy minutes for us. We think this kid can step in immediately and be one of our 16 guys. The 82 versus 16 comparison of, are you a regular season guy? Are you a postseason guy? They had that trust in Christian Brown from day one. And, Christian Brown last season for the Denver Nuggets, 1 year to only base this off of, but played 76 games as a rookie, averaged about 15 minutes per game. And look, none of the numbers, the back of the basketball card, none of the points, the rebounds, the assist numbers on the per-game basis, none of it jumps off the page to you. The impact that he brought was more defensively. He shot 35% on his threes. He shot 56% on his twos, 50% from the field. But he was a guy that the Nuggets trusted to take on some very tough matchups. There's moments in that series against the Lakers, Christian Brown is taking on LeBron James defensively. He is 6'6". He has the ability to defend up. Andre Jackson Jr. is 6'6". He has the ability to defend up. And not only that, we've seen Andre Jackson Jr., and we saw it again tonight. We've seen Andre Jackson Jr. in some minutes as the small ball four for the Bucks, playing next to Giannis. And that may be the spot where it's easier to hide him offensively. So the numbers, it's a pretty favorable comp, and you get where Adrian Griffin is coming from. 6'6", 210 pounds, Andre Jackson Jr. 6'6", 218 pounds, Christian Brown. The minutes that you looked at Christian Brown playing a season ago as a rookie, not quite there yet for Andre Jackson Jr. He's at about 11 minutes per game, but not that far off, and that number is trending upward. But again, the biggest part, the most important part, was Christian Brown was a playoff contributor for the Denver Nuggets. He played all 19 games, and he averaged 13 minutes a game. If you can get that same type of lift from Andre Jackson Jr., 13 to 15 minutes a game in the postseason. Again, it is not very common for rookies to do that. We can point to Christian Brown a season ago. You can point to what Tyler Hero did in the bubble. It is not common to have rookies that are going to be getting consistent minutes and making an impact in the postseason. But the Bucks feel like Adrian Griffin and the Bucks feel like Andre Jackson Jr. is one of those players. And as we continue to see those plays tonight, I'm not going to say Andre Jackson Jr. won them this game tonight, because Giannis had another 30-point game. Damian Lillard started hot, and he really got the scoring going early, finished with 27 points. Chris Middleton was huge in the fourth quarter. He had a big game as well. But a lot of these plays, when we talked about it with Bobby Portis after the game, it is contagious. It is hard not to play with that same level of energy when you're out there sharing the floor with Andre Jackson Jr. and seeing this is what a rookie is bringing to the table. He is the one that is keeping the Bucks playing at a fast pace, and it just seems to be rubbing off on his teammates. And again, the most important part is the trust that he has clearly earned from the coaching staff in these minutes and the ways that they have used him playing very, very late into this game, and we have seen those minutes continue to tick upward for Andre Jackson Jr. You figure you're going to need a lot more of Ajax tomorrow as well with this Sacramento Kings team coming to town, a very perimeter-based team. You do have Domas Sabonis, who has been a triple-double machine once again this season, but this Kings team that gets it going on the perimeter, specifically with De'Aaron Fox, so it is going to be another challenge for that Bucks defense on the perimeter to slow down the scoring of the Sacramento Kings from that spot on the floor. It has been a challenge all season long, and it is going to be a big one again tomorrow night here in Milwaukee. Keegan Murray, Chris Duarte, De'Aaron Fox, Malik Monk, a lot of capable scorers on the perimeter. And again, this is where you think it's going to be another big opportunity for a player like Andre Jackson Jr. to get that going tomorrow night. Should be a fun one in terms of the offense for both of these teams. And remember, Sacramento Kings had the top-rated offense in the league a season ago. It was the top offense in the history of the NBA. The Bucks would also be the number one offense in the history of the NBA this season if it weren't for a couple of teams in front of them, most notably the Indiana Pacers. So we continue to see offense explode in the NBA this season, and this is a Kings team that can certainly still bring it offensively. That is tomorrow night, 6 o'clock tip tomorrow night. 5:30 is when our pregame coverage begins on these airwaves, and with this game now, the Bucks second in offense in the NBA at a 120.9, trailing only the Indiana Pacers. That defensive rating, 116.1, getting better, 18th overall, and still within striking distance and moving closer to 15th. So they took some steps backward the first week of January, but we have seen overall 2 steps forward in that win over the Celtics, and especially the second half last night. You would love to keep this going and wrap up the homestand with a win before hitting the road for about a week. Only 3 games in that week, though. That's tomorrow night. Bucks and the Sacramento Kings, 6 o'clock tip-off. 5:30 is when our coverage begins. And as always, be sure to stick around after the game for Bucks Talk.
Hey, John Mercure here. I'm going on an incredible trip to southern Italy and Sicily